So recently, a traveler from the U.S. was spending time in Cartagena, Colombia. One day, he came across a guy in the street that was offering to sell him weed. The dealer put the weed in the American's hands and refused to take it back when the American didn't want it. Then this happened.
So I left the matrix.
And my money just tripled. I had a good time and it cost me a little. So I found peace, tranquility, faith in my abilities.
I couldn't fake no more, so I left the matrix.
Good day, my people. This is Profe Gayu with another week of Dominican news, accompanied with an expat travel story. I have 3 local stories and 1 travel story, so stay tuned.
Dímelo, profe, ¿qué lo que pasa, profe Gayu?
This first story is about digital nomads, not retirees, moving to Cabarete, which is located on the north coast of the Dominican Republic. The presence of digital nomads has completely changed the culture of Cabarete. So right now you will see yoga, restaurants, bars, shops that are owned by foreigners and cater to foreigners. At first glance, people think that digital nomads are bringing money to local economy and this benefits the community. What the reality is that most of the foreign money stays within that foreign enclave in Cabarete. Meanwhile, the local Dominican community is being pushed to focus on tourism, and local industries such as agriculture and fishing are disappearing. In addition, the story from La Palabra, which is a news source from the U.S., focuses on a family which are descendants of Black Americans that migrated to the country from the United States back in the 1800s. But during the past 4 decades, the ancestral land of this family has been sold to foreigners, mostly Spanish and Russians. And the family continues to struggle to maintain their agricultural business. So digital nomads and other foreigners have increased the property and rental prices while pushing development from the beach into the hills where many local Dominicans are being pushed to. So my question to you all is, how can us foreigners or expats benefit from the community we move to while giving back to that particular community? How can we do that? I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on this. I have my opinions, but I want to hear yours, so let me know. Now, this second story comes from El Nuevo Diario, which is a popular Spanish language Dominican newspaper. And in this story, the body of a Russian person, his name is Sergei Zhervenko, who was 67 years old and a resident of Miches, which is a small fishing / small tourist town, and I'll show you here on the map. Now, his body was found naked and face down on the floor of the bathroom in the middle of 2 pools of blood. So, in this story, there was a transparent pot next to him, and it was kind of almost under him, and also a jar with a white seal. So right now, they're currently awaiting forensics to figure out what happened and the cause of death. Because right now, the cause of death of this guy is really unknown. But this is his picture. This is what he looks like. Sergei Zhervenko, 67 years old, a Dominican national and Russian national, but born in Russia. And maybe you know him, maybe you don't, but this happened in Miches. So I really want to make sure that whenever there are deaths or things that happen in the expat community, I want to make sure I cover those stories so that you all know what's going on. As of right now, the police don't know, forensics don't know, but I'm sure there'll be more information coming out soon. So the third story comes from Reuters. And in this story, Guyana and the Dominican Republic signed a memorandum of understanding to cooperate on recruiting companies to build a 50,000 barrel per day refinery in Guyana. Any project will be at least 51% owned by the Dominican Republic government, or according to the terms of the agreement. And this pact was signed by Guyana President Irfan Ali and Dominican Republic President Luis Abinader during Ali's trip to Santo Domingo. Ali, or President Ali, said in a message to Reuters that the Dominican Republic is interested in receiving fuel supply from the refinery, which would improve the project's feasibility. The Dominican Republic is also interested in exploring for oil, food production, and petrochemicals in Guyana. So for those who don't know, Guyana is in South America, English-speaking country that borders Venezuela. So it's majority Amazon forest, and that border with Venezuela, there's some, border disagreements between the two countries. And then I know there was a part of Guyana where oil was found, and Venezuela is claiming that, hey, that's our territory, and there's a lot of going back and forth, blah, blah, blah. But needless to say, there's a lot of oil in Guyana, as there is in Venezuela. And the Dominican Republic has this agreement with them, and the Dominican Republic has a huge need of oil. I am sure that for all of you that drive, use oil in different capacities, would definitely benefit and see the benefit of this agreement with Guyana. So the last story is an expat travel story, and this comes from a traveler from the U.S. So the story all begins with this American coming across a guy on the street in Cartagena who kept begging him to buy drugs. For those who are not familiar with Colombia, this is very common, as well as the use of hard drugs out in the open. Hell, when I was there in Colombia, not just in Medellin, but also in Cartagena, I witnessed various times people on the street, whether they're sitting down on a park bench or just hanging out on the corner, they'll dig in their pocket, sniff some white, and put it back like nothing happens. I mean, it is as casual as drinking a Coca-Cola. I'm telling you. And in this case, though, the street dealer was very persistent and would not leave the American alone. The dealer really wanted the American to look at how good his weed was. So then the American thought, if I look at it and refuse to buy it, maybe he'll just go away. So the American did just that. The American agreed to look. The dealer put the weed in the American's hands. So when the American said, it does not look good, so I won't buy, the dealer refused to take the drugs back. Then the dealer signals his buddies, hoo-da-hoo! And his crew surrounded the American and demanded payment. He then had to give up all his money, all of it. And I believe he also gave up jewelry and things of that nature as well. But I know he stressed that he gave up all his money. So the moral of the story is never engage anyone in the street like that. Never engage in any way with people like that. Say no thanks or shake your head no. Better yet, just ignore them. So what would you have done in this situation? What would you have done in this situation? Let me know in the comments. And you know what? That's all I got, my people. Thanks for tuning in Profe Gallo with this week's news in the Dominican Republic. And come back for more news next week, as well as other content. Peace.